All right, let's get the meeting started. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the agenda for today's meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Agenda is now approved.
Shit. Sorry.
And please silence your phones. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the January 24th meeting.
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval of the minutes from the January 24th meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And let's note in the minutes, Brian, that we as a committee decided not to have a meeting in February. Therefore, there will be no minutes, obviously, from a February meeting.
Gotcha.
Next item on the agenda is public comments. Since we have no other guests in here, I will close the floor for public comments. Move to the next item on the agenda, and that's the status of approved capital expenses. The first one is the Racket Sports Building project. And the reason I put this on the agenda, I just wanted to make sure that we are proceeding as, or the board, the general manager, the organization is proceeding as has been decided in the past. I know that there's been $25,000 worth of investment already. The project is moving forward, and I just wanted to make sure that we don't have any unanticipated expenses or we have any bumps in the road. So I'm going to rescind Robert's Rules of Order and ask John Viola to, John, if you could give us a real quick update on the status of the Racket Sports project.
Sure. Thank you, Doug. Couple things on that. As you know, if you do listen or watch the board meetings, I did present that as well as all the other initiatives. However, with that one, I put a yellow status. With that, we have not received any permits. We are doing work down there now, which is pretty much advertised. Based upon that review, and based upon everything that I am seeing there, I will certainly update BNF and the board. So right now the status is yellow. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Any questions for John on the status of the project?
Yeah, I guess. So John, what are the key things you're trying to accomplish there? Kind of what's the vision and what at the end of the day, where do we want to be and why do we want to be there?
Yeah, can you, I don't totally understand what you're asking me.
So we're I guess I'm going back here. There's various scenarios about what that project would entail. One was a multiple story, one was an expanded, one was a renovation. And it seems like we're moving with the renovation. I'm just trying to understand what the direction or vision is, what we're trying to accomplish at the end of the day when we do whatever it is we're going to do. What's driving it and what's the vision?
So Dick, I got to be perfectly honest with you, Dick. Somebody that's on BNF and everything, I'll try to answer this. But you're sitting right there, and actually Colette, who was the liaison, is sitting right next to you. I've been through this before, Dick. I've updated everybody. This has been communicated. First off, everything that's being done down there now has been communicated. So I'm not really sure what you're asking me. It's everything that I've communicated. As far as the building, as far as this vision, there has been sketches put out at board meetings, to this committee, to you, throughout the year. Colette is there. She's right there. It was my understanding, and we've been through this before, Dick, that the Racket Sports Advisory Committee recommended a one-story building, highlighting the restrooms, the pro shop, and the pro's office, which we also heard from the pro that we hired. So this has all been out there. So if you're asking me something else, I'm missing what you're
Well,
asking.
I guess in part, I don't know about the rest of BNF, but in part, I guess I personally haven't seen, and I guess what I thought we were going to do today was see some plans. I haven't seen plans, basically what that layout is. When I say vision, what the layout is and what we're looking to do as far as, establishing a pro shop, as far as meeting the needs for.
Okay,
let
so
me-
Doug, I gotta be honest with you, Doug, I can't, there's
Yeah,
been board meetings, I've had them at the board meetings, we have had them throughout. Right now, they were high level, we had Frank Brown do it, and thank goodness, so that we wouldn't be going back and forth to architects. Doug, I'm being honest,
Yeah,
if your committee is not up to speed on basic stuff that's out
Have
there,
you seen plans?
go and check the
Yeah,
board.
So let me step in here real quick. So Dick, valid question. The idea is that information's been out there and quite frankly, the board, I don't know if it was what exact meeting it was, but they approved the expenditure of $150,000 based on the information that was presented. So, at that point, I think it's kind of reasonable to assume that, nothing's really going to change. If it's a change order that comes up later on down the road, certainly the board, hopefully it'll come before the committee. We'll take a look at it, make a recommendation. But as of right now, I don't see any involvement. And correct me if I'm wrong, I just don't see any involvement for the committee since it's already been done. In other words, if we were looking at plans, they were out there. I saw some of the information that was given prior to the board making a decision when they did, and I did the exact date of the meeting escapes me. So I'm fine with your question, but I'm just not sure what we really want to accomplish by the question itself.
And maybe it's something that's outside of this committee meeting here, but I guess there seems to be. I would hope that whatever is built in here is basically coming from input from the Racket Sports Committee, who has valuable input. I would hope that's there, and I hope that's part of what we ended up with. And the reason why I bring it up right now, I hear so much stuff going on about, how come this isn't there? Why isn't that there? Or so forth. And I'm just trying to understand how all this came together. And do we have plans and a vision that's kind of aligned with the consensus of community and the community? And maybe we do, but maybe I'm just not aware of it.
Well, I tell you what, rather than, kind of, I don't know, over discuss the issue, I think probably it would be worthwhile spending time. Let's get that information for you because, I think this is done already. I know for a fact that there was information that was provided by the Racket Sports Committee that's included. Now, like any other committee, including us, if you make a recommendation and it doesn't go through, quite frankly, you've done your job. You've made the recommendation. It doesn't mean that the board must do whatever it is an advisory committee recommends. So, John, I'll get to you in a second because I got two other people here who don't want to say something. And so, the idea here is, based on the input that was provided at that board meeting, I know, and they shared with me the fact that information from the Racket Sports Committee was provided to the board. And the GM and an ultimate decision was made based on that and other factors that would, have an effect on the overall project, both in the short and the long term. So, Colette.
You just said it. I don't need to repeat it.
Okay.
I was liaison at the time this happened. The wish list came from RSAC to the GM. As you correctly pointed out, not everything on a wish list that comes from an advisory committee gets implemented. Other factors are taken into consideration when the final plans are made, cost, permitting, various things that John has talked about repeatedly in board meetings. So that's.
All right. So maybe it could be that I'm just basically not up to speed as some of the other folks are here. But I do know that I did bring this up at the budget review meeting and didn't hear a whole lot mentioned about it. And maybe it's part of the plan. Again, this is part of my vision question, that there's a great opportunity for a first-class pro shop to be part of a racket center. Okay? And as an example, if you go out and you Google or racket sporting goods stores near me, believe it or not, the first one that pops up is the Ocean Pines Racket Center. We don't sell anything. The next one that pops up is Dick's
Mhm.
and Walmart. So I believe that we do have an excellent opportunity, and I thought I would hear more of this at the budget presentation time, but we didn't, but put together a business plan and develop a vision for what that would look like. And then what kind of space would be required to meet those needs? I haven't seen that, and I would hope that that was thought through and was there. I know I had conversations with Tim at one time, and he was kind of on that page, and he was going down that road, that path to that kind of vision. But I think it's a great opportunity. It services the racket community here, but it also services the community as far as people who want to come and buy things that just aren't available in other places.
Mhm.
So when I say the vision, that's one of my questions is what are our plans along those lines?
All right, hold it right there. Monica,
Robert rules still suspended.
they are. I will reinstate them at the appropriate time.
All right, thank you. I know Dick at the February RSAC committee meeting that John attended, discussed the pro shop and some of the changes that were going to be made, and they were all on board with it.
Okay.
So,
All right, so it sounds like things are happening that I'm just not aware of.
Yeah, and John, I'll get to you in 1 second. So to your point, Jake, it made me think, one of the other things is there's been some turnover in the leadership over there, okay? So I think one of the other things that happens, I'm sure John's already on top of this, and the idea of, here's where we are, all right? And your point about having a business plan, I think that's something that you give to that tennis pro and say, give me your ideas, give me your thoughts. How best do we do this going forward, knowing that we have a demand for play, a demand for goods and services, and, kind of look at that. But, how that affects the space, I'm less concerned about that because, at some point, all the information for the space and the layout of the building is done already. So you could present it and say, look, here's where we are with space. Help me understand how best you can utilize the space and how efficiently you can utilize the space, knowing that you're going to have demand for play, for goods and services, and long-term maintenance of the environment.
I guess what I'm saying, I trust and hope that was all considered.
Yeah.
And we got to where we're at right
Yeah,
now.
and I consider that part of the operations side of it, but John, you're up.
Thank you, Doug. And just a couple things that I asked Linda. I have all different types of minutes from racket sports over the year or whatever. One says a one-story building, then the next, well, we don't know if we want a one or whatever. One thing that, and I even read it on the forum, quite honestly, and Monica's right, I've been in the last couple of RSAC meetings, and I read it on the forum, so it's got to be true that I said it. I got to be honest with you, Dick. I don't know what they want down there. I don't know what you want. All I know is I'm shifting a lot of gears back and forth. I have put status as yellow. Quite honestly, it was one of the best things I've done recently. Nothing has been finalized as far as contracts, architectural drawings, because quite honestly, I think we'd be going back and forth and spending a lot of money. You're right. Honestly, I don't know what you want. I don't know. I got to be honest with you, I don't know, and that's why it's yellow. It was my understanding that Colette supported it, and we've had these sketches out there in board meetings for months, which they wanted a one-story building. I got to be honest with you, Doug, and I will talk to Rick and everything, and I've said this. We need to know. Now, one of the last meetings, I don't remember if it was February or March, when I was in the advisory committee, they all wanted 2 stories and everything. And I believe what I read in the minutes or what Joe put on the forum, I said, well, then we'll hold back until you do know what you want. And that's why I put it as yellow. So, maybe you should talk with the RSAC committee, or if you have a business plan, that'd be great. Put together a business plan, Dick. Right now it's yellow. I'm not doing anything final. As far as what's going on down there, I've communicated that. And that's all I have, Doug.
John, to answer part of what I think you're saying there, I would hope that that out of the Racket Sports Committee, there would be a consensus that would say, here are the things that are important to us. I hope that's there, and I would hope that you understand that and hearing that. to me, that's an important element of wherever we go with whatever size building we do, with whatever we end up doing down there. I would hope that the committee, is feeding you information that at least you're hearing and understanding.
So it depends on which month, Dick. Depends on which month. Doug, the status,
Yeah.
to the board members are listening, I stand by what I put on Saturday's board meeting. The status is yellow. Nothing's been finalized. Right now, I'm working on the contemporary stuff from what we heard on Saturday. That's it. I got from the advisory committee the one story. Colette, I believe, validated that. She was the liaison. I went through all the steps with that with the board and everybody else. The director we had there, he also blessed that. Yes, we have an enhanced on those sketches. We have an enhanced pro shop, like you said, which was I was told were priorities, a pro office, and the bathrooms. Now, as you would know, being down there, the back room has been redone, renovated over the last 2 years with a lot of work and a lot of money in there. So, hey, look, Doug, whatever on your thing and Racket Sports Committee, right now it's yellow, and I'm not going forward with anything concrete because, as I've been saying, I don't know what you want.
Well, so a couple of things come to mind, and with all due respect, I think the idea that this has already been done, the money's already been allocated, approved by the board. I think we're kind of it's not a discussion that's going to yield anything other than maybe reminding that given what's been approved, we do need to fill in all those ancillary pieces about a business plan and making sure that, this, that, and the other thing. Quite frankly, I'm not in favor of this daily changes that, today we want showers, tomorrow we want an awning, and so on and so forth. The idea here is the information back, and Colette confirmed that, back then was put out there, drawings were made, the decision was made at the board level to move forward, and that's what we're doing. Quite frankly, and no disrespect to anybody, after the fact that people change their minds and say, well, we want this, this, and this, after it's done, then, I'm kind of sorry, because that process is already moving forward, and to do that not only would cause a delay, but I would argue that it's going to increase the cost significantly. All right. And how does that factor into what's already been budgeted and what's already been planned and any potential future expenses that we have to do in case during the project something else happens? Like I said, and I go back to even us, when we make recommendations to the board, they may or may not take them. They may take them in a partial manner and so on and so forth. And, I guess I'm just kind of telling John, I'm not really telling him, I'm just kind of bringing it up saying, I, for one, don't listen to the day-to-day scuttlebutt about, I want to do this, I want to do that. It's been done. I think it's time to move forward. And quite frankly, I'd like to find out exactly what needs to be done to move it from yellow status to green status, especially given the timing. We're going to have, obviously, this won't be done in the summertime, but is there a target time frame, maybe after October, November, or something along those lines, so we have a better understanding of, when this is going to happen and be planning to use that quote unquote updated facility in the next season. That's where I would see it going. Any other Don?
Quick statement or question, I guess. If they approve whatever, 150,000, isn't there this is what we're spending $150,000 on?
Yeah.
But what John seems to be saying is he doesn't really know what we want yet.
Well, I think, and John, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like they're getting mixed signals from a number of different sources. And I think at the end of the day, we have to just say, time out. Here's what we're doing. Here's how we're moving forward, rather than, all of this input from a number of different origination points. John?
So here's what I've seen, and then quite honestly, this is good that Dick brought this up. So I went to the last two advisory committee meetings, and the advisory committee had no idea. And look, this is my take back from it. And I think it's in there. They had no idea what we were doing, which kind of stunned me. It's all in their minutes or whatever. What I said, hey, look, if you don't know this, but what I don't understand is the prior advisory committees told us what. So there was no connection between the two. Yet I saw people in there who were on the other advisory committee. So I'm on record in their minutes. I read it on the forum saying, well, then we'll hold back until you all know what you want. But Doug, you're right. This was approved by the board. We had the sketches in all the board meetings. The sketches have been out there. And And I thought I was doing what they wanted. So we held back. I've held back. There will be no construction during the summer. I read that somewhere. And we'll go forward. I mean, right now, that's what's approved, this one-story building, and for me to go forward. So outside of that, I'm kind of surprised, but not surprised at what I just heard, but that's why I don't know what they want. They're running around saying that they had no input, this, that, and the other thing. Well, then I don't know.
It could be a transition issue.
Shifting gears, one more thing. I got to get this in there. Shifting gears costs a lot of money.
Yeah, I agree.
We're down here now spending money. Quite honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough budget to do what we even said. So that's where I'm at. And I am on record. I read it, where I'm not sure what they want now. I'm not sure if they know what they want.
George,
I was just gonna sum this up after listening to all this. And I know it's been at the board meeting. I know sketches were out there. Colette from the previous committee or advisory committee for the Racquet Club, it looks like they had a plan. It was implemented. This is what we want to do. Okay. A. B. The committee has now changed. Am I right? We have different people on the committee. So some members have changed. And now what's happening is what the previous group decided on. They're saying, well, no, that's not really what we want. And we have different opinions now coming in. But going back to what was already approved, it was set forth, approved. John and the board went forward with that.
Yeah.
And are now moving forward with it. They did the right thing. Number one.
Agreed.
Number two, because the committee changes, and I think you said it well, and people have now come in with different views. We're halfway across the stream. Now they're saying, let's swim back. So I think we're where we need to be.
Yeah.
That my opinion, and what happened, and it was agreed to. The board and everybody agreed to it. John did what he thought was right now, and now everything shifts.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm summing it up. And
George,
that's,
what?
I think you said it. We put recommendations forward. We have some recommendations at the budget. We've had recommendations through the year as a committee. The board doesn't have to take those. John doesn't have to take those. We're a committee, we're advisory.
Yeah.
We give what we think is right. If they don't agree, it's on the record. They do what they need to do and what they think is right.
Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah, what George was just saying is
Hold on.
100% correct.
Thank you, George.
However, what I see probably the paramount issue right here is that you have an advisory committee, which is the current advisory committee, regardless of the other advisory committee in place right now, and you have a board, and you have basically, contention. You have disconnects, lack of communication, maybe lack of whatever.
Continuity.
Yeah, so it seems to me like those, regardless of what happens here, if you want a good committee going forward, making good recommendations that they think a board is going to listen to them to, you have to basically bridge that gap. And right now we have some pretty big disconnects.
Well, I think the committee then has to go and sort that, and sort that out.
Let me step in.
That's not for us to do.
Yeah,
It's not for John to do.
Hold on. One conversation at a time, please. All right, be recognized by the chair. Dick, finish your statement, and then I'm going to say something.
Yeah, so I think that there's sounds like definitely the two of the either the board and the committee need to be on the same page as to what we're doing. And the committee understands what we're doing. The committee has a chance to question that, even though it's not going to change that, but they have a chance to understand that and then move forward to doing good business down the road.
All right. Two things I'm going to state. George, well stated. Clearly what we have here is a transition issue, okay, between a group of people that are on the RSAC committee when the decision was made and a group of people that are on the RSAC committee now after the decision was made, okay? At the end of the day, I don't see that as a problem. What was done is done. We're moving forward with that. Now, if the new committee has an issue, then that's for them to resolve, okay? Through their liaison, if they feel they need to go to the board, that's fine. They shouldn't be, in my opinion, suggesting that we alter the course that's already been defined, alter the expenses that have already been, given to the project, period, all right? To me, it's a lot of white noise. At the end of the day, a decision's been made. It's time to move forward. I, for one, in all my years of being on the board and involved in this, is like, you're going to get a number of differing opinions, and they're valid. The differing opinions are valid. However, if it's after the fact, it is indeed after the fact, and it's time to move forward. One other piece of information I was also looking at, because I figured we were looking at this RSAC, I went back through all the capital expenses up through, this month, this fiscal month was month 10 of our fiscal year. We have capital expenses to the Racket Sports Center, $75,494. Right. So no one can sit there and say that the racket sports is not being supported by, the operations environment and the board. All right. So it's there. And quite frankly, I, for one, don't think this is a budget and finance issue. All I wanted by this particular item on the agenda was to get a status update and kind of see if I could get from John, what's it going to take to go from yellow back to green? And that's it. As far as making decisions or recommendations on halting the projects, that's not our purview, quite frankly. Other discussion? Brian?
Just wanted to say, it's fair to say that nothing's going to happen till the fall. Because the summer season's here, they're not going to be doing any construction until then. So there's going to be enough time to get this sorted, I think. And it does seem like the committee might have had some turnover. And so what one group from last year decided is now being revised and changed by the new guard. So it's as John says, it's on yellow and they're paying attention to it. And I think it'll come together.
Any other discussion? All right, John, let's make this the final one.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Doug, and I was hoping it would be the final one. And first of all, George, again, thank you, and Brian. The only thing I want to point out, since this is the Budget and Finance Committee, there is a cost to all this. Maybe that's part of the process. I'm just saying, there's a cost to all of this. That's all. And yeah, nothing will be done during the summer period, as far as a new building or renovation, whatever it's called. Thank you, Doug.
All right, I stand corrected. We have one more
Just
comment.
question. Is maintaining it at yellow increasing our costs?
What I heard today and what I heard in the last two advisory committee meetings, that increases the cost, yes. The fact now that I have to look at maintenance, which I don't have a problem with, that if we were going to start a new building, I wouldn't be doing a renovation. Let me make sure I got the right wording here. That would increase the cost. If we then decided that everything I'm maintaining down the road, we replace. So the answer is yes. It increases the cost, yes.
Okay. All right. We've had enough discussion on that particular topic. I thank everybody for their input. Let's move on to the next item, which is the status of the Tiki Bar expansion project. John, one more time, please.
Yeah, sure. Tiki Bar expansion, top priority, working under a tight time frame. We are striving. We are trying to get done by May 10th, May 15th. We're on track. We're green. I was there all day yesterday, back and forth. We believe we're on track for that. We have Wayland, and quite honestly, we're on track.
Okay. Any questions for John on the project? Seeing none, I'm going to reinstate Robert's rules, move to the next item on the agenda, and that is a review and discussion of the January 2024 financials. For those attending, we did not have, this item would have happened in a February meeting, but we did not have a meeting. As a committee, we decided not to have a meeting in February, so we need to review both the January financials and the February financials. So let's move to the January financials. I'll open the floor for any comments regarding, comments regarding the financial report from January 2024.
I'll start out.
Go ahead, Ryan.
On the operating results summary page, under golf ops and maintenance, the notes are special events 5584 and classes and clinics 3292. I made note that in the February report, that's exactly the same as listed here in January. So I was wondering, was that some kind of accrual that you're divvying up, or is it just an error in that posting?
52 cents.
Yeah, it's all four of the items.
Yeah.
Or I typos.
Doug, if I may, because I'm gonna have to give it a, first of all, Brian, excellent catch, and Doug, I'm not gonna call it a typo, but it should have been deleted. It goes all the way back to December. My apologies to this committee on that.
Okay, good enough. That's all we needed to hear. Yep.
Other questions on the January 2024 financial report? I'm looking at the yacht club, and you know that the disparity is a little under 15K. I mean, is that seasonal? I've seen that happen in the past, and you know, is there anything to be concerned about? As you know, as you blend in the entire 12-month operating year, is this just sort of standard for this time of year, given the fact that it was closed for X amount of days, and so on and so forth? I think that's the case, and I would ask John to correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Doug, apology, again, Linda went out to print me out January. Oh, here it is. I grabbed 2 Februaries instead of the January. So, but to answer your question, just general, yeah, the budget, the yacht club, everything we've explained, it's just more or less timing. They do incur expenses for January. I saw it as basically January. You know, hopefully that answered your question, did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing. I mean, it's expected is the
Yes.
answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Brian.
On the operating summary, year-to-date wages and benefits are way down against the budget, which is great, obviously. But given that, you know, wages are up across the board and we had fully staffed lifeguards, and I know the police department's contributing to some savings there, but it's a significant number. I mean, it's $500,000 below budget, which again is great, but it just seemed to be I couldn't figure that one out, John.
Yeah, and again, you're spot on looking at that. We do review you're right. So you're hearing that we're increasing salaries, which have been approved.
Yep.
There's a lot of favorability in the police department.
Yep.
Some of it is offset with a lot of overtime. So that is a part of it. There has been efficiencies in other places that showed up there. So quite honestly, it would be several $100,000 favorable because all the salary increases were budgeted. So that would have been in the budget. You know what I'm saying? Now, the one with the police, which I've gotten some calls on or whatever after the board meeting, that was not part of the budget. That would eat into some of that favorability, but we only have a couple months left here. So the second thing, Brian, and maybe this is what you're looking at is, okay, what does that mean for next year or the year after? Well, we're anticipating that we're going to be full staff, or we're going to get there. So we have budgeted in the budget we just approved for pretty much a full police station. I'm pretty sure, and I could go back and check or have Mark do it, that we took out like 1 or 2 positions and didn't budget for that, thinking, you know, maybe it wouldn't be, you know, obviously from day one. So that favorability, you know, is going to roll over.
Okay, great. Great to hear that. You know, it is up over last year, which you would expect, right? And I was just had my eye on how much favorability you had there against the budget. But
yeah,
appreciate your
works. Yeah, but now we're at full staff in Public Works.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you.
John, real quick question. Would it be safe to assume, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, that since we have some monies left in the surplus from last year, that you have some flexibility to address these things that come up as for example, if another police officer gets hired, you know, and it clearly wasn't in the budget, but do we have I would assume we'd have the flexibility to take money from the surplus, apply it to the budget to make sure we can meet those expenses. Is that a fair statement by me?
Look, I totally agree, and that's what we've been doing. I would just call it favorability, not necessarily surplus, but yes, as we right-size the police source, yes.
Okay, all right.
Not well said.
All right, any other questions on the January financials? Brian, please, what we're here for.
Thank you, Doug. Under combined golf ops, John, the golf academy and lessons, that's the money we're the cut of the money we're getting from Gary Goff under Goff Academy and Lessons.
Yeah, I was trying to get to the page, but correct. So
Yeah.
what we've done there is, the individual is an independent contractor. He will pay us a lease payment each month, and that's what you'll see there.
Okay,
Quite
great.
honestly, I think that's the way to go. That's the business model. And we're having success with it, but yes, you're right.
Okay, great. So my follow-up question is, and I don't have the new budget in front of me, but are we budgeting for some of that this coming year? Because there's no budget in here for this year.
What he said. Brian, I'm sorry, I had somebody in here talking to me. Just repeat.
Okay, sorry, John. Yeah, there's no budget listed for those two categories in this year. I don't have this year's new budget in front of me, but
Yeah, so right. So you're talking about the year I'm in now that I'm gonna close up in a couple of months. So you're
Yeah.
right. We didn't have the academy at the beginning. He was paying us a percentage of his lessons. We've changed that over the last couple of months, and it's definitely in the next budget.
okay, cool.
The
All right,
academy
very
is
good.
$8,600. We would be receiving rent. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, very good. That was my question. Thanks.
I know. Good question.
So I have one question more theoretical. So if you look at the net ops in January, if you look at platform and pickleball, they did very, very well, against budget. But tennis, there was a significant drop. And the question is that a red flag? Is that seasonal? Is that something that we should bring to the RSAC committee or the director of tennis, or director of racket sports, I'm sorry, for them to take a look at? Or is that just something, again, that's seasonal and was expected?
So
And you don't have to answer it. I'm just pointing it out. The idea is, do we need to do anything about it?
I think it was asking the committee.
Do we as a committee recommending that we find out, or is just chalk it up to, operationally the way things run?
Doug, what are the numbers?
Here, it's, just give it back. The 1 in 10 right here. Matter of fact,
Well, you could probably look at February. It's going the same way.
I'm
When I
looking
circle-
at February right now, yeah.
no, I'm looking at January. Because February, it was okay.
Yeah, February was, I had that
Oh.
question too.
Yeah.
February's okay.
So did they, was it something? That was the basis for my question. Maybe it's just an anomaly, but if we don't need to do anything about it, we certainly don't. I just wanted to bring that up, in case it was a discussion point that required some action.
It doesn't take much for any kind of hitters. Get a few $1,000s in there.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on the January 2024 financial?
One final comment on the clubhouse grill. I'm so thrilled about the numbers there, because I know I made comments last year about how none of the increased sales were getting to the bottom line, but man, this year they're really putting the pedal to the metal there. Really looks great, John.
Good. Okay, seeing no more questions regarding the January 2024 financials, let's move to the next item on the agenda, and that's a review of the February 2024 financials. Floor is now open. Questions, comments? Don?
On the operating account, I know I've asked this question before, and I'll promise you I'll write this down, John. Other fees and income, is that just interest or what is that? What report's that?
What page, John?
It's on the first page or the second page. Is other fees and income is, the actual is $1.5 million against a budget of $1.1 million.
Operating account summary.
Right. $1.5 million all interest? I see, okay. I see where you are. Okay, thanks.
John's gonna answer that question. I think he's doing a little bit of research, but yes, good question. And while John, you're back. Go
Yes,
ahead.
Doug. So I got Mark's just checking it. He's checking it in detail, but yeah, obviously the interest income, he's just checking to make sure it's on that line, but the interest income was favorable by hundreds of thousands of dollars. And Don's right, we've answered, but it's the interest income, but Mark's just checking it.
All right. I've actually got,
Just be a minute, but yeah.
Yeah, he's checked, but it's the interest, but we'll give you a definite.
So one thing that jumped out at me, and I probably should have not caught it earlier, but noticed it. If you look at page 2, the summary financial report, and under amenities, you look at the actuals of 6675, which is in a budget variance of a positive 615. And I just wrote a little note down here. Is there a cause? Is it due to increased membership and use? Is it availability of the resources? Is there something else? Because clearly, if we're trending in that way, that's a good thing. And if it continues to trend that way, do we need to do anything to the resource pool, in the next couple of years? But I guess my first question is we understand the cause for that? Because that's a good number.
Organic growth.
Organic growth.
Brian, thank you. Exactly. And driven by-
Okay, I guess my question's answered then.
Exactly.
And then I also wanted to point out, if you look again at tennis, that they didn't have any revenue for classes, but platform tennis, there was a pretty good increase in the number of drop-ins. So I'm hoping that's the fact that the weather might be getting a little bit better and so on and so forth. So that's a good number too. So I just that kind of stuck out.
I did,
George.
on tennis, I did notice, in fact, there's no wage and benefits for tennis
Yeah.
in February. With a budget of basically three.
So,
Yeah. 3,000.
so Doug, if I may, right, so there was an
Please, John.
allocation issue and it was corrected in the March financials is what Mark's telling me. Yep,
Okay.
we can definitely do better on the allocations there.
Other questions? Colette?
Yeah, I have a question on the operating results page. The legal fees of 8,487, what was that?
What page is you?
Legal fees
Just the page.
in the operating.
Love to have pages.
It's the third page, yeah.
Oh, the variance analysis page?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Oh, I see.
Third page.
so $8,500 in legal fees. What did that buy us?
Yeah, it's a favorable variance.
So that's, right, that's not what we spent. So.
So that's a favorability number.
I know that page is a little confusing with it. You're actually saying that it's favorable.
Okay, got
to
it.
the budget. Yep.
Okay.
And one other comment, I'm looking at my notes here. The food and beverage sales are up at the clubhouse to kind of say what, Brian, kind of support what Brian was saying earlier, that the numbers in February look also very good. So,
She had a great Super Bowl party too. I mean, brought in a lot of money.
other questions? Don?
John, the net operating by department, general maintenance is up about $100,000 from last year to this year to last year. Is that just catching up with people that were hired?
So it's a combination. One, you're right, the people being hired, we had a lot of maintenance that was charged there. It was a combination, right? The salaries are there. We were able to do more general maintenance and all that. Yeah, that should level out though.
Okay.
That offsets all the favorability, all the other months that everybody was asking.
Other questions?
Yeah, I'm trying to recall here, but I noticed in golf operations, combined golf, that throughout the year, we've been running under budget as far as wages and salaries. It's still less than 10%. Seems to be going that way all year long. I don't recall if that was just some not hiring or staffing issues or just whatever. Is that something that we've addressed in the next budget?
So we've been pretty much full staff. I mean, what happened here, I want to make sure I say this the right way. So we did have a position at a certain salary level. That person's not there anymore. That was a big part of the favorability, where that's been reallocated to other areas. So we did identify that. And the second part of your question, which is a good question, yes, we addressed that in the budget that we just finalized, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Don?
Operating summary. Revenues 13, almost $14 million year to date. Your expenses, wages and benefits is almost $7 million. Your second most expensive expense is other costs for $2.2 million. We don't define what the $2.2 million is. Why don't we put something down for that, or what is it?
So,
I can move.
yeah, so Don, I completely agree with you on that. You know, it's the way we can give you a detail to your committee on that and come up with a schedule and give you that. I agree. I mean, and maybe, well, not maybe, if the Budget and Finance is recommending we look at this schedule, this page and expand on it, I welcome that. We'll get you a schedule.
Is that something we agree would be beneficial?
We ask about that a lot. We ask about other costs.
So John, the committee agrees that if you can provide a little more detail on that, that would be very beneficial. Thanks.
Yep, we'll do. Just write that down as a follow-up.
Okay, other questions? George?
I don't know if this is the right place, but John, the Northgate Bridge, we talked about some upgrades or modifications you need to do to meet the state requirements. Have those been done, or is that still, I know at one point we were waiting on materials and we had some issues with it.
George, I know what you're talking about. At first I wasn't sure, right? Okay, so it's not necessarily the bridge itself as we all perceive the bridge.
Yeah.
You're right, there is a railing from 589 to go up to the bridge.
Okay.
And you're right, I had that, I discussed that, it's very good memory. We had discussed that. I'll check on it. I don't think we ever got the final, what was needed, but we knew that once we did, we had to pay for it. So I'm gonna put that as a follow-up and I'll get that to the committee.
Okay, thanks,
It's
John.
not, you know what I'm saying? It's not the bridge itself. It would be a
Right.
follow-up to the bridge railing.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, I'll check.
I just associate with the bridge.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah. I got it. I know what
All
you're
right,
talking.
any other questions associated with the February 2024 budget? Brian and then Don. Brian?
Yes, thank you. In beach parking on the wages and benefits, the year-to-date compares quite favorably to last year, but the budget is like twice as much as what the actual is. That seems to be a bit over budgeted there compared to last year. Just wanted to make note of that and see if that is getting tightened up for this coming year. I don't have this year's new budget in front of me, but everybody seeing that?
Brian, which one are you talking about?
Beach parking,
For February, right?
Okay,
February beach parking, year-to-date labor
Year to date, yeah.
Oh,
is,
there we go.
year-to-date labor, okay.
the actual compares
Brian.
nicely. Go ahead, John.
So you're right, and it's a good question. So what happened, one of the attendants, I don't have the exact time periods or whatever, but an attendant that we normally have there was not available or whatever. So we had favorability there. However, it was made clear to me to make sure that I have that for the coming budget, which we do. We're working on somebody to make sure we're fully staffed there at all times. So
Okay.
there was a time period where we weren't staffed with a certain attendant this past year. It was made clear to me, and rightfully so, to make sure that I have it for the next budget. And I believe somebody's smiling at me in this room. I'm sure that we have that. They're telling me yes. So
Okay,
I
very
should
good.
have that favorability this year.
Don? Oh,
Two more questions. I'm back to other costs. The yacht club, the $500,000, almost $570,000 in other costs year to date. And I know management fees probably in there, but that's not all management fee, is it?
No, it's also the bonus. The Mad Art Company, each year, between the management fee, which is $200,000, there's an accounting fee, and then the bonus, the total payout, and I believe we're tracking for this year, just like last year, to Mad Art is $500,000. Mad Art will be paid $500,000, and that's a big number, even in those other costs. Whoever asked me that question last time, it's $500,000 we pay the Mad Art Company.
Okay, so Probably 95% of that is hips.
Sounds like it. Sounds
Oh,
like.
yacht
Out
club.
of out of the 570.
Yeah.
Yacht club.
It's the yacht club. Yes, oh, I just realized you were asking, correct.
Okay. Thanks. One more.
Oh, done.
It's probably a really dumb question, but on the cash that we have, $14 million in CDs and all that stuff, why do we need that? Or what are we doing with it?
Yeah, okay, hold on. So you're right, the cash position is up in that range without me looking on there. As you know, our reserves is somewhere right now, I think it's around $8 million, $8 million plus. So there's 8 million of it right there. Always a part of it is operational. There's several $1 million that we need in the accounts each month for that. The rest is timing depending on when you look at it. Don, obviously when we have the assessments and all that stuff coming in, the cash goes up and then it goes down. So just right off the bat, out of that 14 million, easily 11, 12 million, I just explained.
Okay, but I guess in my mind, we're putting together a budget that says, here's how much we're gonna get in revenues, which is assessments, parking lots, casino, and here's our expenses. And in the real nice world, those would be zero. Net would be zero. So we have $13 million sitting there that should we be doing something with it or cutting back something?
So, okay, so let me try to, and I'm trying to think how to answer this question because I see where you're coming from. First of all, the money's invested. We're getting, I believe the last one I saw, we were getting 5% of a lot of the money. Mark's checking his head yes, which I thought was really good. So the money is invested. They're invested per the FO, whatever number that I worked on years ago when I was on budget and finance in low risk vehicles, mostly the CDORs.
Yeah.
We did do the treasuries, as you know, I had recommended. So they're earning, in that neighborhood, 4.5%, 5%, which is also generating a lot of cash there. There is a difference accounting wise when you look at a financial, a P&L, and you look at your cash position, because a big number is depreciation. And a lot of times that'll give you the difference there or timing. We're going into DMA, as you all well know, here in November. I'm not sure if you're saying give cash back. I mean, there is a difference between our retained earnings, our financial results, and the cash. It's a good thing now that we have the cash and we know where it is. But that's a function of everything that I've been reporting on. If you're saying as a budget and finance committee that we have too much cash, I need to think about that, or take your recommendation and analyze it, because I think it's a little different. I mean, as our reserves get bigger, obviously you have the cash. The cash then is generating investment income. If you want to have a quick lesson on the DMA study and everything, right, there's a couple factors there. One is how much is your investment income and how much is your inflation. So that is all going to come into play when we look at the schedule over the next 5, 6, 7 years. That's the best I can explain it right now. Hopefully I did, because I do understand your question, but it's
Brian,
not
you had
as-
one more? You had one more question, Brian?
Yeah, couple.
Please.
On the capital summary, there's an item under recreation for bike crossing Route 589 for 12 grand. Did we put some money toward that new crossing at Mankin Creek Road, or is that something else?
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't, because I thought I hit the mic. Okay, so yeah, Brian, excellent question. So that's the sidewalk. So when you come across that 589, then you see a concrete sidewalk that ties into granite. The Department of Transportation, we worked with them, and so that's where the 12,000 went, Brian.
Okay, so it's our contribution. Okay, great. And then under Public Works, can you tell me what a gator is? Because we bought 3 of them.
All right.
Yeah, so they were laughing here. So the gators, and I have we have pictures of them. I put them in a board meeting. I know Steve Jacobs asked. So if you ever see those little trucks with like a flatbed in the back, and some of them are different, That's what the gators are. They use a lot of them down at golf maintenance and
Yep.
public works. So we did buy several, not denying that. We had to replace them, but that's what those are.
Okay,
If
very
you're
good.
on a Golf course and you see, what's his name? Justin driving around, that's like a gator.
Okay, now I know what a gator is.
Yep.
Last question. On the balance sheet, under AR assessments, last year it's like 9 million bucks plus. Did we
I
accrue
went-
that?
You get a towel on the way out of Ocean Point's Tower. Excellent point. So yeah, so what that is, and that's the question of the day. It's timing. Normally, obviously, you know, we sent out the assessment letters. It is timing. You will see that next month, correct, Mark? I wish we had seen it a little earlier or a day earlier, so I would have been consistent with the prior year. So you're right. Those are the assessments that are coming in, and also would generate a lot of cash. You'll see our cash going up. It's just the timing. Otherwise, the number would have been in line with last year, but higher.
That's what I thought it was. Thanks for
Right.
verifying.
Excellent question. Yeah.
That's all.
Any other questions on the February financials? All right, let's close that item off the agenda. Next item on the agenda is other comments and questions. George,
Veterans War Memorial Pavilion or thing, where's that stand, John?
John,
Yeah, no, I had to click the mic. So the pavilion is evolving. I met with Marie Gilmore. I met with Whalen over the last couple of weeks. When we first got the estimated price for the pavilion, you know, we were looking to try to do it for 100,000. With the brickwork and everything that everybody wanted to match the memorial, the numbers, again, high level numbers, estimates were coming in higher than 100,000. So we went back, we tried to see what we can get for 100,000. I met back with Marie. Right now, to get what we originally were hoping for there, it's probably going to be in the range, you know, higher. Let's say 125, 150. And we're working on trying to get those numbers. So the pavilion, we're not trying to get it done by Memorial Day. We are now looking for Veterans Day. Talk to the contractor. Again, these are high-level discussions trying to fit all these projects in. They believe with Memorial Day, so we haven't put anything finalized to paper, but we are looking at something that's going to be a little more than, it's going to be more than 100,000. So that's the answer there. I still feel it's green. She agreed. They're bored. I met with them. They agree Veterans Day would be good. Nobody wants to rush this. We want something right. They want a storage, I don't know if I'm going to call it a building or whatever attached to it. We like the brickwork. They have all these plaques, thank you, Linda, plaques that they're going to put on there. So that's where we're at. And we're working with the contractor on that, trying to see if we can get a kit or we're going to stick build it. Right now, they want a lot of wood, kind of like the one that's here at White Horse Park. So that's where we're at. I still label it as green.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, they will contribute to the cost of it, a certain percentage.
other comments, questions? Anything further for the good of the order? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, John.